Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.
Another draw for TFC as they draw New York Red Bull at home at BMO Field. 0-0. I'm Sarah Peraria. This is Mikey Singh. This is Room 442. Mikey, another draw. A clean sheet kept. No goals were scored. What are you taking away from this match?
You know what? It is a draw.
Mm-hmm.
It is a point considering they're missing 11 players. It's an okay point, but Red Bulls were also missing, I think, 12 players. So they're at home. It does feel like a game that TFC could have had 3 points. So in a way, I'm looking at this as almost 2 points dropped. But for the morale of the team, for the spirit of the team, for them to not concede, for them to actually just pick up points in a really difficult stretch where so many guys are missing. I mean, both their center backs were missing. All three of their starting midfielders were missing. They had only had 6 people on the bench. One of them was a TFC 2 player, and one of them was your backup goalkeeper. So only 4 subs on the bench. So this squad is really thin right now. So for them to be able to grind out a point, it's something they can build on. But I think big picture, it does feel like another 2 points drop for this team.
It is better than nothing. If we can pull the MLS table back up, we just had it there. TFC obviously still in last with New York just ahead of them based on goal differential. But as we can see, we remember if TFC win one game, they're back up in playoff contention. So there's still, a lot of potential here for TFC. We know that. But yeah, I do feel like this game overall at BMO Field was just a bit flat.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't much to be made of in any of the opportunities they had. One thing, though, you spoke about is Richie Laryea and how he's been such a constant performer for TFC through thick and thin, and right now it's very thin, of course, with all those injuries. But Richie Laryea, since he's come back from Nottingham Forest, has been crucial for this side. And I feel like no matter what, even if his performance isn't the best, he leaves everything on the pitch. He dies for the badge.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish his personality, his belief, his character almost resonates with the rest of the squad around him, and I feel like it is starting to do so in just a little bit. But Bob Bradley was asked about Richie Laryea after yesterday's match, and he had some really positive things to say about Richie. Here's what he said.
Richie's been amazing lately, so you put him anywhere on the field and Richie says no problem. I'll play here, I'll play there, I'll do whatever for the team. His attitude, his mentality, the way he competes. Richie's been amazing lately. So I'm really, really proud of him, and what he's done for the team in this last stretch of games has been incredible.
So I've done now over probably 100 media scrums with Bob Bradley. I don't think I've ever heard him praise a player in the fashion that he just praised Richie Laryea. Now, just speaking of his performance last night, Richie learned an hour before the match that he would be playing center back because Mark Anthony Kaye went down with an injury. Richie has never played center back in his career, and he was arguably the best Toronto FC player on the pitch. So for him to do that and put in that type of performance speaks volumes of just the character and ability that he has to step up in big moments. And he's shown time and time again that he's able to step up in big moments, do whatever's asked of him. And he had, again, just a heck of a performance last night. I think we'll see probably a team of the Matchday performance just based on some of the praise that he got. Now, overall, big picture this season, Richie Laryea has probably been TFC's MVP.
I don't think there's even a question of a doubt.
Right. And I know that his loan agreement ends in the end of June. We've said this before, TFC can't afford to lose Richie Laryea. I still don't believe that they will. We'll see exactly how this next month and a half plays out, but what an unbelievable stretch of games that Richie's had. And if it wasn't for Richie Laryea over this stretch, I don't know where TFC would be right now.
Well, imagine being Richie Laryea, being, told you're the best player for TFC right now, with the likes of Federico Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne on that pitch with you. Let's talk a little bit about these Italians. Bernardeschi, I feel, at the beginning of the season, started off really strong, and especially the connection he has with Laryea has been a great link up. Insigne, we know, injured in the first game, missed about 7 games, has now been back, but Bernardeschi's kind of dipped of late, and Insigne hasn't really figured out his role. It doesn't seem like he's meshing with everyone just yet. I know he was coming off a big injury there, but they're not doing enough for the team, just to be quite frank.
Yeah, I think last night they took a step in the right direction, right? Something Bob Bradley touched on after the game is just there's been a little bit of frustration with them and a bit of a reality check that in Major League Soccer, when you go through a stretch like this and you have so many injuries, you're going to have to play with guys like, young kids like Kobe Franklin, young kids like Kosi Thompson. You're going to have to find ways to link up with those types of players. And sure, at this stage in their career, they might not be the best players, but Lorenzo, Federico got to find ways to get the best out of those guys. I thought, again, yesterday was a step in the right direction. There was a few chances that both of them created. One during the first half, Lorenzo got in behind, probably should have finished. Another one where he squared a pass to Bernardeschi. Bernardeschi probably should have finished. They had some good link up in the second half, some good moments, but still consistently, it seems like they're giving the ball away in not some great areas on the pitch a little bit too often. Now, when they get players around them, better players around them, will they elevate their game? Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. That's the idea. That's the way that Bob Bradley constructed this squad. But you still feel like, in yesterday's game in particular, that felt like a game that one of Insigne or Bernardeschi should have been able to have a moment and win the match on their own. And they weren't able to do that. So, yeah, the longer that this stretch goes, more of those questions will be asked. And the last take I'll have on this, I think that Bernardeschi has played much better when Insigne is not in the lineup for TFC.
Interesting.
And the reason being is because I almost feel like Bernardeschi feels obliged to find Insigne more times than maybe doing something himself. There are times where he tries to do way too much, don't get me wrong, but there was a play last night that got me thinking about it where Bernardeschi had a step on his defender, was kind of in behind. And I remember earlier in the season when he had moments like that, there's no way he's looking to pass that ball.
Yeah.
Right? He's looking to take it on his own. Instead, his first kind of instinct was he saw Insigne and he's like, let me try and square this pass. Obviously, it didn't go the way that he wanted. It was picked off by the defender. A really blown opportunity there. But I do wonder if, something mentally is saying, I always have, my first instinct is always to be looking for Insigne as opposed to, maybe looking for goal.
I mean, it might just be a natural instinct from the Italian side, too. They've played together there, and just because they both come from Europe with that rapport, maybe it's just, some sort of instinct that he needs to switch off himself. But, yeah, I can see that. Finally, let's just look to the weekend ahead. TFC are back in action only a few days after this match, heading to Austin. They're taking on Austin on Saturday. Austin not really doing too great either. They're tied with TFC point-wise. Yeah. Can TFC get a result, get a point in this match, even though they have so many injuries?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the big thing. We'll learn later today from Bob Bradley exactly who's going to be back for TFC. If they get a couple bodies back, maybe. Austin's coming off a really big win, really important win for them. They beat Seattle last night, and Seattle right now is the top team in the Western Conference. So that's a big morale boost for a team that I believe finished second in the Western Conference last year. So they've been underperforming early on this year. They've gone through a difficult stretch themselves, but it does feel like they're starting to sort of round out of that. TFC, they haven't won on the road since last August. So for them to go get points in Austin, by the way, their first trip to Austin ever, but for them to go and get points in Austin coming off a midweek match in which they're missing so many bodies, if they're still missing a ton of bodies, I can't see it happening. I can't.
There's too many factors in this that are against TFC.
Exactly. We'll see. It'll be tough. It'll be really tough.
All right, well, we will see what TFC can do with the immense amount of injuries they have, but that's right, TFC and Austin kickoff Saturday, May 20th.
Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.